Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Reiser, and we are following breaking news out of London this hour where the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, is giving us an update on her health. Let's get straight to CBS News foreign correspondent Ian Lee. Ian, what can you tell us?
Well, this is a message from Kate, the Princess of Wales. It's a personal message from her, and that's something that we've seen throughout this battle with cancer, everything coming directly from her. And she wants the public to know that she is making good progress in her battle with cancer, saying that she is undergoing this protective chemotherapy, that her treatment is going to be a few months longer, and that she has good days and bad days like everyone, she says, who does deal with cancer. But she says she does really support the outpouring of support from people all around the world, sending her messages of encouragement. She says she's reading those and that they're helping her. But right now, the palace is saying that, this is a very much a personal time, that she needs space for recovery, and that, things are looking optimistic. That is kind of the feeling from this message.
And Ian, we're also hearing from a spokesperson for King Charles.
Yeah, so tomorrow is Trooping the Color. It is the sovereign's official birthday. It was the official birthday for the Queen and every previous monarch, not his real birthday, that is in November. But the King did come out and say that he's, the Buckingham Palace saying that they're pleased that Kate will be a part of tomorrow's celebration, tomorrow's ceremony. This is a very important time for the royal family to show this unity, to show everyone out there. Trooping the Color happening every year. We're expecting to see more than 1,000 soldiers in this grand parade going up central London, performing in front of the King, in front of the royal family. And then, crucially, we're also expecting to see the Princess of Wales in that parade. She will be riding in a carriage with her children. They will be likely following the Prince of Wales, that is Prince William. He'll be in that parade as well. And there will be a key moment, and that comes at the end on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, where the royal family will all go out. There will be a military flyover, but it is a chance to see the whole royal family there. We need to be mindful that the King is also battling cancer at the moment. He's had a lot more public engagements than Princess Kate. He's been out and about. Last weekend, he was at the D-Day ceremonies. He's at the Trooping of the Colors. He wants to be seen by the public, which is a bit different than Kate. She's taken a more reserved approach. This isn't her returning to royal duties. She may pick and choose what duties she wants to attend, but this is her showing support for the King on his day and the monarchy.
I mean, how big of a crowd does this event typically get anyway? And do you think now with this announcement that the princess is expected to take part in the parade, expected to be on that balcony? I mean, how many more crowds can even gather over there?
Yeah, that's a good question because, a lot of people were wondering, speculating, would Kate make an appearance at this parade? A lot of people were thinking probably not, because she has been quite private in her battle with cancer. But now knowing that Kate is going to be there, you'll likely expect to see a lot more people gathering along that parade route, hoping to catch a glimpse. Also, it really depends on the weather tomorrow. It's been a cold one here in the UK. If it's rainy, people might choose to watch it on TV. The crowd size might not be an indicator of how the interest in this sort of event, but we are expecting a lot of people out there to catch that glimpse of the King. And, really watching these sort of ceremonies here in the UK, no one does this pageantry like the British. And so for people, it is a spectacle. And the King is very much aware of that. He wants to be seen by the public, and this is just an opportunity for him to do that.
What is the overall sentiment that you're finding? You live there, that's your home. From the people that you talk to, from the newspapers and magazines that you see on the newsstands, what is the sentiment right now and how the royal family is really engaged in this private battle?
The one thing that's been really interesting to watch is in the beginning, there was a lot of speculation about Kate on social media, really was driving it about where was she, what is wrong with her. And then she came out in March with that video explaining her battle with cancer, explaining what was going on. And a lot of people have taken a step back. Even the tabloids have as well. People kind of giving her that space, that privacy that she says that she needs to battle cancer. And so you have seen a big shift here. A lot of people really trying to respect her privacy during this. And there have been sightings of her out and about, but really there has been kind of people stepping back and allowing her to deal with this. And you know, we need to remember she does have 3 small children that she's going through this process as well. And so people are very mindful of that. So you aren't getting the kind of feeding frenzy that we initially saw in the beginning when Kate, a lot of people said, had disappeared.
Okay. Ian Lee, thank you. Now let's bring in CBS News royal contributor Amanda Foreman. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us with this breaking news here. I just want to ask, first of all, your reaction to the release of the statement and the release of this new photo.
You know, the photo is really heartening, but my reaction is one of amazing surprise because they had kept this a secret. There's nothing in the diary. There were whispers, but literally last week, the royal correspondents were talking among each other saying, is she or isn't she? And nobody had any idea.
And so what is your reaction to the news that she's expected to make an appearance this weekend?
Oh, well, this is tremendous because all along they have insisted, and we're taking them at their word here, that she would not make any public appearances until her doctors said it was safe to do so. And this couple has really put a premium on their privacy as well. So for this to happen, it is a huge turning point.
Can you explain to us the significance of Trooping the Color?
Yes, so it's over 200 years old, this ceremony, and it is when the sovereign, and now it's King Charles, inspects his troops. So these are serving soldiers, and they will come out in full force, and they will perform maneuvers, and including passing over what they call colours, which are flags, in front of the sovereign, and then it ends with a fly past by the RAF. So it is one of the great pageants of the royal year, and it attracts thousands and thousands of people to London.
And I'll ask you the same question that I asked Ian Lee, and that is, as somebody who is a consumer of royal news, and you have your finger on the pulse of people's sentiment and how they're feeling, how would you say this saga is being looked at by the public? And then we have not one but 2 members of the royal family who are battling this very serious disease.
Well, what you have to remember is that the saga was preceded by one of the worst incidents of public shaming and hounding of an individual, a sick individual, in recent memory. And that in itself sent collective shockwaves around the world. The mass hysteria that was whipped up on the internet against Kate while she was struggling to come to terms with this terrible diagnosis not only was shameful, but caused a huge amount of shame and guilt over the affair. And so the public's reaction to this is both heartfelt because she feels better, and heartfelt because it turns a page on a very unfortunate incident.
And you're talking about the photoshopping, right? Can you give our viewers a little more context?
So what happened? Yes, because what happened was that when the couple received this news, it was a terrible shock to them, and Kate and William are known for trying to control the news around them and about them. And so this was so private, they wanted to keep this under wraps. Then there was this question, where is she? Where is she? And so Kate attempted to appease everybody by releasing a photograph of her with her kids. And it had obviously been photoshopped. The news media noticed this, and then the photograph was withdrawn as being a fake that had been done on purpose by Kensington Palace. And that created this sense that they are fakes, they're inauthentic, they're misleading the press. Whereas in fact, what was happened was 2 very, very frightened parents doing their best for themselves and for their children, while also trying to do their duty.
And also with this new statement that we have, I'm wondering if you pick up on the vulnerability that the Princess of Wales is sharing and admitting that she has good days and she has bad days, and she really is like the rest of us, particularly the millions of people who are battling their own battle with cancer. But really, I'm struck by how personal this is.
Yes, and there's, first of all, that has actually always been Kate's, one of her unique selling points, as they might say, in the branding world. Her USP is that she is an authentic person, and she's always been perceived as an authentic human being who isn't a fake and doesn't indulge fakery. What you see is what you get. She also said in her statement that she is learning to live with uncertainty, which is another one of the really terrible things that goes with this kind of diagnosis and treatment, that you just don't know if it's going to work, you don't know what's going to happen day to day. So that kind of honesty, which has always been her one of her unique and star aspects about her, is coming through now. And this is why she's what they known as one of the royal family's most valuable players. She's their MVP because of that. And so it's a great relief to have her back.
Inspiring message, and we're, of course, thinking about them and wishing them the best. Amanda Foreman, thank you.